Hello, I am Void Scribe. Welcome to my realm of imagination. Together, let's wander through tales born in the world of dreams. Perhaps among them you will find the one that captivates you most. If you'd like to support me in creating more unique and thrilling stories, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell so you won't miss any upcoming chapters or new tales. Please support me by following my journey on social media. All my social links are in the description. I'd really appreciate your support. Please like the video, share it with others, and let me know your thoughts and suggestions in the comments. The Hollow Veil. From the shadows atop the old mill, the killer observed Harris. Rain had returned, tapping rhythmically on tin roofs, blending with the hum that now existed in the air itself. He adjusted the camera perched on a beam, capturing Harris's every movement. Each flicker of his expression, each tremor of his fingers was catalogued. He smiled. Harris was perfect, desperate, brilliant, predictable. Exactly what the ritual required. He opened a small case and withdrew glass vials, filled with fluids that reflected streetlights and eerie, fractured patterns. These were reminders, tokens, proof that every move Harris had made was anticipated. Each murder, each carved letter, each mirror staged meticulously for one observer. Harris, his plans had unfolded over years, and now the final act approached. He whispered low, almost inaudible, as if rehearsing for an audience beyond the veil. You chase shadows. You become them, only when the hunter is blind is the right complete. Meanwhile, Harris pieced together the connections. Notes in his handwriting, old case files, sketches of the lattice, they were all there. Embedded into the crime scenes by the killer, it was impossible, yet undeniable. Someone had lived inside his mind, predicting, orchestrating. Lane had grown anxious, murmuring about mental strain, but Harris silenced her protests. He had learned the hard way that disbelief was lethal. Across the river, the killer prepared his descent. Black boots on rusted stairs, leather gloves tightening. The air thickened. The hum intensified, resonating with the bones of the city itself. Tonight, the ritual would require proximity. Harris must see the culmination, must witness the unveiling, must unknowingly participate in the ceremony. Back at Harris's apartment, the detective examined the envelope again. Maps, photographs, a journal of the killer's prior acts. Symbols scrawled across margins, overlapping each other, forming a lattice of inevitability. His pulse raced. Every instinct screamed retreat, but logic demanded confrontation. If he hesitated, the pattern would advance. If he moved too soon, the ritual might escape his comprehension entirely. The killer's voice echoed faintly through a cracked window, a soft rasp carried by wind. You think you control the hunt, but the hunt controls you. Harris spun, eyes wide. Nothing, only shadows swaying with streetlight. The vials, the photographs, the mirrors, everything pointed to one inescapable truth. Tonight, the veil would split and Harris would cross into something he could never undo. A final tap at the door, soft, deliberate. Harris's hand went to the pistol. He exhaled, steadying himself. The killer was already inside, not physically, but woven into every thread of perception, guiding every heartbeat. Tonight, the game would climax, and Harris had no idea he was already a piece on the board he thought he commanded. Harris moved through the alleyways like a man possessed, every street lamp casting shadows that leapt at him like warnings. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, yet the streets gleamed as though blood slicked the pavement. Each reflection in puddles, shop windows, and car hoods seemed orchestrated, mirrors. He realized everywhere, extensions of the killer's design. Lane trailed him nervous, whispering fragments of theories. Ritualistic obsession, psychological projection, patterns repeated over decades. Harris barely heard. He felt the hum within his skull now, pulsing with an almost conscious rhythm. It guided him toward a building he didn't recognize, yet every instinct told him he had passed it countless times. Inside, the room was cavernous, dimly lit by swinging industrial lamps. Strings of photographs dangled from wires like grotesque mobile art, each victim positioned to watch him. The lattice pattern spread across the walls, carved into wood, smeared in paint, etched in grime. Harris's chest tightened. The killer's message was clear. You are part of the design. Then movement. A figure stepped from shadows, tall, featureless in the darkness, a coat dripping rainwater. Harris raised his pistol. No response. The figure's presence dominated the room, unyielding. Harris felt that hum again, louder, more insistent, resonating in bones and nerve endings. The letters on the walls, VL, intersections he had memorized, glowed faintly, as if reacting to his heartbeat. Suddenly, the figure reached into the coat and withdrew a photograph. Harris's own face, twisted, aged by fear. Below, a date, tonight. Harris's mind raced, realization sharpening like a knife. Every clue, every staged crime, every mirror, every hum had led here. And yet, the killer had anticipated him discovering it, just as he anticipated every question Harris would ask. Harris fired once, twice. The bullets met only air. The figure vanished, leaving the photograph fluttering to the floor. He bent to pick it up. On the reverse, scribbled in jagged, precise handwriting, "You are ready." Lane's voice crackled through the radio. "Harris, what's happening? Are you okay?" He didn't answer. He stared at the lattice on the walls, at the photographs, at the mirrors that reflected more than the room itself. They reflected the inevitability of the design. Outside, the killer watched from the rooftop, a smile tugging at lips unseen in shadow. The trap was nearly complete. The hum had become a pulse, a heartbeat in rhythm with Harris's own. Every step Harris took brought him closer, not to confrontation, but to revelation. The hunter was becoming the hunted. Tonight the veil would tear. The room seemed to breathe. Harris's eyes darted from photo to photo, mirror to mirror. Each reflection distorted, not in glass, but in perception, twisting reality into an architecture of dread. The hum had grown unbearable, filling every crevice of his mind. He gripped his pistol tighter, knuckles white, yet every instinct screamed that force alone would not suffice. From the ceiling, a pulley system shifted, and a photograph descended. Harris caught it midair. The image, his daughter, older than in the previous photo, eyes hollow, a faint smile curling at the corners of lips that should have been innocent. On the back, 3 letters, VLH. Harris felt bile rise. He knew now that these letters were more than a pattern. They were a code, a ritual language the killer spoke through flesh and memory. Lane's voice crackled again over the radio. Tense. "Harris, you're scaring me." "What's happening? Are you safe?" Harris pressed the receiver to his chest, unhearing. He followed the lattice etched on the walls, tracing intersections with gloved fingers. Each point resonated with the hum. His mind raced, mapping connections, reconstructing sequences of murders across years. Every victim had been a node, every mirror a portal, every sound a summons. He realized the ritual was incomplete without him. Suddenly the room shifted. A false wall slid silently, revealing a passage dark as ink. The hum surged, vibrating through steel and stone. Harris advanced, pistol raised. The air grew colder, heavier, almost viscous, and he could hear faint whispers, not words, but cadence, syllables structured like the notes carved into victims. The sound matched the vials he had seen in the killer's journal, liquid vibrating in rhythm with the unseen orchestra. He took another step. Shadows lengthened, merging with his own. The mirrors along the passage multiplied his reflection, fragmenting him into dozens of Harrises, all frozen mid-motion. Panic clawed, but he pressed on. Each mirror reflected not only him, but also hints of what lay ahead. Shapes of corpses, letters carved on skin, eyes staring where no eyes existed. At the end of the corridor, a door, unmarked, pulsed with the hum. Harris hesitated, heart hammering. Through it, he sensed the killer waiting. The ritual poised to crown itself, and his daughter, somewhere beyond, a key to completion. A choice confronted him: enter and face the design, or retreat and let the lattice expand unchecked. He swallowed, the room spinning with reflections, the hum almost unbearable. His grip tightened on the pistol, but instinct whispered that violence alone would not save him. The veil awaited, and beyond the veil, truth and horror awaited together. Harris exhaled, stepped forward. The door creaked as Harris pushed it open. Beyond lay a chamber vast and shadowed, ceiling lost in darkness, walls lined with mirrors that fractured space. Each reflection multiplied the lattice. Each photograph of victims stared with accusing eyes. The hum now was a roar, syncing with his heartbeat. Pulsing through flesh and bone, Harris stepped inside. The air was thick with cold and iron. Vials from the killer's notes lined the floor, their liquid contents catching the sparse light and refracting it into spectral shapes. The photographs of his daughter floated in midair, suspended by thin wires. She smiled, eyes hollow, knowing, distant. Harris's throat tightened. His mind spun. From the far end of the room, a figure emerged. The killer, tall and shadowed, coat dripping, hat brim low. Harris aimed, hand shaking. The killer lifted a gloved finger to lips, then gestured toward the mirrors. Harris saw it then. Each mirror didn't simply reflect him. It showed possible outcomes, twisted timelines of his own failures, all converging toward a single inevitability. The killer spoke, voice calm, melodic. A whisper carried across the chamber. You are part of it. Every step you took led here. Every fear, every doubt woven into the lattice. You cannot fight it. You cannot run. You can only witness. Harris's gaze fell on the largest mirror center of the room. He stepped closer and the reflection shifted, not his own, but his daughter's face. Older, eyes empty, lips moving silently. Then a realization. The letters, the hum, the photographs. It was not a ritual for death. It was a transfer. The killer had been preparing her all these years, shaping her to inhabit a space beyond the veil, a realm existing between reflections and reality. Harris staggered back. What have you done to her? The killer tilted his head, almost sympathetically. I have completed the lattice. She is beyond. You are next. The hum rose, vibrating violently, forcing Harris to his knees. Mirrors cracked, lines spreading like spiderwebs. The images of past victims twisted, faces merging into a single entity, his daughter at the center. She reached through the glass, hand trembling, yet unnervingly controlled. Harris tried to pull her back, but the reflection's hand pressed against his chest from the inside, and a shock surged through him. Reality blurred. Pain, fear, love, rage, all coalesced into a pulse that hurled him forward. The killer stepped aside, voice echoing, step through, or remain behind. Harris looked at the fractured mirrors, at the lattice completed, at his daughter, and knew the only way to survive the truth was to cross. He inhaled, heart hammering, mind fracturing, and then he stepped forward. Harris's foot crossed the threshold. Instantly, the chamber dissolved. Mirrors became liquid, walls melted into shadows, and the hum became a scream that tore through memory and bone. He was no longer standing. He was suspended in a void, tethered only by the pulse of the lattice. His daughter's reflection floated before him, eyes empty yet beckoning. Father. Her voice echoed, distorted, layered over hundreds of others. Harris's mind tried to anchor, but the lattice had already entwined him. Every murder, every mirrored reflection, every note in the killer's journal now existed inside him. He realized the horrifying truth. The killer had never intended for the ritual to claim her. He had intended to claim him. Harris was always the final node, the last piece needed to complete the lattice. The void shivered. Figures of victims swirled around him, faces contorted in silence, reaching but never touching. Each whispered fragments of his own failures, regrets, and miscalculations. He tried to resist, tried to scream, tried to run, but the lattice held, bending reality around him. The killer's voice, now omnipresent, resonated. Completion requires surrender. The veil is hollow. You are hollow. Only then is the lattice perfect. Harris looked at his daughter again. The reflection stretched, elongated, merging with the other faces. For an instant, he glimpsed the killer's true form. Not human, not shadow, but an embodiment of fear itself, a force that existed wherever reflection and obsession met. He realized the killer had orchestrated everything not to kill, but to transcend through him. Time fractured. Harris felt himself splitting into echoes, each fragment replaying every choice, every failure, every heartbeat. Pain seared, then faded, and then silence. He opened his eyes. Mirrors surrounded him, unbroken. His daughter was gone. The room was empty. Yet the hum remained, subtle now, insistent. He staggered forward and saw on the floor the final photograph. It was him, older, hollow-eyed, smiling faintly. Scribbled beneath, "The veil has consumed you. Welcome." A realization colder than death struck. The killer had never left. He existed in every reflection Harris saw, in every shadow that flickered at the corner of his vision. Harris understood then. He was free only in body. In mind, in essence, the lattice had claimed him. Every detective, every investigator, every observer thereafter would unknowingly step toward the same fate. Harris dropped to his knees, a scream forming in his throat. Mirrors shimmered, and from them, hundreds of reflections of him emerged, each one whispering, "Join us." He could not resist. And as the last light flickered, the veil closed, leaving the world outside unaware that it had become a gallery of echoes, a lattice now complete. The hollow veil endured. Thanks for watching till the end and for supporting me. Even more exciting stories are coming soon. Don't miss them.